Postgame Week 11 had DAL vs LV. You ever watch a highlight reel and a lowlight reel play at the same time and wonder which one the team will pick for the season? Monday night's little appetizer, CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens sitting out the first series, felt like that. Two of the Cowboys' most electric weapons, sidelined not for injury, but because they missed curfew after dinner and drinks in Las Vegas. The image of two future Hall of Fame caliber targets walking back onto the field a series later and doing damage felt like shorthand for the whole Cowboys mood. Talent, friction, and a storyline that refuses to cool off. X, formerly Twitter. Let's get to the facts fast because that's what people want before they pick a side. Coach Brian Schottenheimer called the decision a coach's decision after the game and didn't give a long explanation on the record, which is coach speak for "we handled it internally." Lamb later confirmed he and Pickens had been out past curfew at the Red Rock Casino and said the benching was deserved while also pushing back hard on an ugly rumor that he'd been seen vomiting at the casino that morning. He called that claim disrespectful and said simply, "I know how to hold my liquor." No one involved made a spectacle of the punishment. Instead, it was short, pointed, and designed to send a message. ESPN.com. Here's why this matters beyond the TMZ chatter. Culture is made of tiny moments that add up. A curfew exists not because coaches are bored with rules, but because disciplines, sleep, meetings, prep, compound into reliability come Sunday. When two of your primary receivers bend or break that routine, it's not just a winky social misstep. It's a crack in the ledger of accountability. The Cowboys are 4-5-1, and every margin is thin. When you bench playmakers for a drive, you're showing players that no matter who you are, the rules carve the lineup. That's both the rub and the rare clarity of leadership. TheScore.com. If you think this was some raw moralizing, look at how it played out on the field. Both men responded like professionals. Pickens finished with 9 catches for 144 yards and a touchdown, and Lamb logged 5 catches for 66 yards and a score. That's 210 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns between them after a disciplinary benching that lasted 1 series. The message to teammates, fans, and anyone watching was loud and complicated. Discipline stands, but production still matters. The bench them and watch them explode angle gives off the impression of punishment that backfires, but it can also be read as a recalibration. Punish, then let performance speak. DallasCowboys.com. Now let's be honest about optics. The rumor that Lamb was puking at a casino at 7:30 a.m., which he denies, escalated the story from a team discipline note to a character headline. That's how narratives metastasize. Small infractions meet social media rumor, then presto, character judgment. Lamb's reaction wasn't defensive in a locker room meltdown way. It was calm and clipped. He admitted the mistake, denied the salacious detail, and redirected to the locker room work. That's a veteran move. Own the part you messed up, correct the falsehood, and go play. For a player of his stature, tone matters as much as content. New York Post. There's also a team strategy angle here. Coaches have to weigh punishment versus momentum. The Cowboys opted for a one-drive benching, firm enough to demonstrate consequences, small enough not to hamstring the offense against a vulnerable opponent. That's the tricky equilibrium. Protect culture without sacrificing wins. In theory, the move preserves authority while keeping the roster intact for the long term. In practice, it creates a public chewing gum for media that loves to stretch small stories into season-defining arcs. Whether the move helps or hurts the locker room long term depends on what happens the next time someone tests the curfew. CBS Sports. Let's step into player psychology for a second. Young, high-paid athletes are living in two worlds. The one where they must be present and consistent, and the one where public life and late nights are part of the package. For someone like Pickens, still carving his reputation, and Lamb, a superstar who knows cameras look his way, the temptation to engage in normal human life collides with the abnormal career they have. Teams that survive in the long run create frictionless routines for stars: security, private dinners, controlled nights out. Missing curfew isn't necessarily an act of rebellion. Sometimes it's a misstep in a life that's always one detour away from a headline. Clutch points. Here's the competitive truth. The best way to erase this story is to turn it into a subplot. If the Cowboys close the season strong, this becomes a footnote. an example of discipline that didn't derail anything. If the team stumbles, it becomes Exhibit A in every critique about culture and accountability. For the players themselves, the fix is straightforward and brutal. Show up for every meeting, make better choices on nights before games, and let performance do the lobbying. For the coaches, the test is consistency. Do they treat stars and role players the same when rules are broken? The answer will shape buy-in. TheScore.com. There's also a reputational cost for Lamb to manage. He pushed back on the vomiting rumor with righteous annoyance. That part was smart. But he's still at the mercy of the narrative machine. A curfew story plus a fan culture that loves to judge lends itself to memory. He's earned grace with elite play. Now he has to bank it with steadiness. Pickens' big game helps in that bank account too. Performance and behavior are both deposits. Right now, the account is balanced but under watch. SI, if you're a fan waiting for a moral, here it is. Accountability isn't showy, it's boring. And boring is how teams win. The Cowboys did something few teams do publicly. They punished 2 stars without turning the franchise into a circus. The stars answered by playing. Whether that's a model of leadership or a risky PR gamble depends on how many times play now, pay later comes back to haunt you. For now, the scoreboard reads a 33-16 win and 2 receivers who made their excuse look small because their tape looked big. That's the uneasy, complicated victory modern NFL franchises live with. DallasCowboys.com. Final thought. Sports gives us quick judgments, but the truth lives in repetition. One missed curfew is a teachable moment. One rumor denied is a reputation reclaimed. One game won after a benching is an imperfect apology accepted in the currency the league respects most, performance. The Cowboys set a line, their stars stepped over it and then ran past it. What matters now is whether they keep running on the right side of the rulebook. You ever watch 2 star receivers sit on the bench for the opening series and feel the entire stadium lean in like it's waiting for the punchline? That was Monday night in Las Vegas. CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens kept out for the first series, a quiet discipline that turned into one of the weirdest little midweek storylines the Cowboys have had this season. Lamb finally explained it. He and Pickens were out at Red Rock Casino the night before the game, had dinner and a few drinks, and missed curfew. That's the simple, unglamorous explanation for why both were held out to start the contest. Coach Brian Schottenheimer called it a coach's decision without getting into details, and the team treated it like a short, internal matter. Discipline done, next thing. WTOP News. Then the rumor mill did what rumor mills do. Reports began to swirl that Lamb had been seen vomiting in a casino early the next morning. Lamb pushed back hard on that narrative, calling the suggestion a disrespect and flat out denying it. He said he knows how to hold his liquor and that the vomiting story was false. He was blunt about what actually happened. Dinner, drinks, a curfew missed, a consequence accepted. SI. What's striking about the whole thing is how quickly it fizzled into performance. Both players didn't sulk. They went out and played. Pickens finished massive. 9 catches for 144 yards and a touchdown, asserting himself as a top target after a trade that turned a lot of heads this year. Lamb wasn't quiet either. He caught a touchdown and helped jumpstart the offense once the starters rotated back in. Discipline meet redemption. They sat for one series and then dominated the storylines the way star receivers should. From a team culture angle, the way Dallas handled it is textbook modern NFL, quick, internal, public-facing minimalism. Owner Jerry Jones and the coaching staff framed it around missed meetings and curfew discipline, not a morality play. Schottenheimer's public take was simple. There were some things missed, so I had a conversation with those guys, and that was easy. The message was clear. Accountability, yes. Cancel culture, no. Get corrected, play, and move forward. ProFootballRumors.com. There are bigger ripples, though. Pickens is in a contract year, and his performance in Dallas now carries both immediate and long-term weight. He's flashed big playability since the trade, and nights like this, a benching followed by a dominant game, complicate the calculus for the front office. Do you punish and move on, or do you evaluate the roster and the cap and try to keep a burgeoning weapon in town? Jerry Jones has publicly indicated openness to keeping Pickens long-term, but that conversation just got more interesting. Reuters feed. For Lamb, the optics are different but still meaningful. He's a team leader and a face of the franchise. A curfew miss by a star invites scrutiny because leaders are supposed to set the tone. Lamb owning